us. Good evening. My name is Michael Paulsen, and I'm going to be talking about the very beginnings of terrorism against Navy ships. The first believed recorded terrorist act happened in 1898 against the USS Maine. USS Maine was an armored cruiser. It was sent down to Havana, Cuba to establish a blockade. In the middle of the night on the 15th of February, the ship exploded, and there was an explosion in the bow of the ship. It was believed that there was a mine set off underwater, which in present day would be like somebody swimming underneath the ship, just placing a bomb, having it explode. There was a total of 260 people killed in that terrorist act. When the American media got wind of what happened, they started the battle cry, "Remember the Maine, or hell with Spain." This incident was one of the precursors to the Spanish-American War. It wasn't the only thing that happened, but it was one of the main precursors. According to history.navy.mil, there were a total of 4 inquiries done into what exactly happened. In 1898, it was decided that it was a Navy mine that went off. Same thing in 1911, they said that there was an external explosion. In 1974, the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Rickover, had an inquiry look into what happened, and they said that it was a coal bunker that had exploded right next to an ammunition storage. And in 1998, National Geographic, using pictures, information, computers, they said that it was unconclusive. There's no specific reason that they could find, and still to this day, there's no definite result of what happened. The next item, the biggest one that everybody knows about, is the USS Cole. Happened October 12, 2000, in Aden, Yemen. The Cole was pierside for refueling, and they saw a small boat approaching the ship. They believed it was a trash barge. That was common practice in that time, to have small boats come alongside, throw the trash off, and they were covered. The sentries looked at the small boat and said that something didn't seem right. They pointed their M60 at it, but according to the Navy rules of engagement at that time, they were not allowed to do anything. They were told to point the gun away, that they weren't supposed to do anything. The small boat, according to FBI.gov, was carrying 400 to 700 pounds of explosives. It exploded at the waterline right next to the galley, blowing a 40 by 60 foot hole in the side of the ship. The FBI ended up sending over 100 agents out there to investigate. There was a total of 17 people dead and 39 injured. And here's another picture of the Cole right here out of the water. You can see how big the hole actually was in the ship. There are a couple other threats not many knew about. The USS Sullivan's was scheduled to pull in on January 3rd, 2000 to Yemen. Al-Qaeda planned the same exact attack that they actually accomplished on the Cole 10 months later, but they overloaded the small boat, and the boat actually sank on its way to the ship. So it was fairly lucky at that point that it didn't happen. On January 11th, 2002, in Singapore, there was a group of individuals who were detained who had been planning a terrorist attack against American businesses, American assets, an airfield that included both Singapore and U.S. jets, and Navy ships. They were planning on doing the same exact thing that they did to the Cole. But luckily that attack was thwarted right before everything was done. They got all the way to the execution phase, but hadn't had a plan or an opportunity to actually do the attack. And one that didn't really get a whole lot of coverage happened right here in San Diego back in August, when the USS Ronald Reagan was coming back from RIMPAC. There was a lot of information from ISIS on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, calling on the Islamic Brothers to launch an attack on U.S. assets, mainly military. With our work, along with Coast Guard and San Diego Harbor PD, we were able to protect the ship, and nothing ended up happening actually from them. And here was a picture of the Reagan. the end result of all of these different terrorist acts, in November 2001, so just a month after the Cole, U.S. Fleet Forces Command was established. They were basically put in charge of all anti-terrorism force protection, training, equipping, basically anything that came up with anti-terrorism force protection. They were in charge of it. Under that group, the Harbor Patrol Unit was formed, and that's where it leaves us today. And the primary mission of Harbor Patrol Unit is to harbor security forces are responsible in providing primary defensive capability to protect afloat assets during transit in and out of San Diego Bay. And that's my speech. Thanks, guys.
Oh yeah.